questioning the existence of the Judeo-Christian God on the one hand, and questioning the foundations of values on the other, for some are philosophically intertwined renditions of the same fundamental problem. Nihilism is the belief that all values, religious, political, social, moral, are meaningless. To you, this may evoke feelings of despair and hopelessness, that this is all just a purposeless existence trapped in a material reality that terminates upon your death, and asking why anything is happening at all is explicitly left unanswered. The quintessential expression of nihilism in pop culture, according to President of the University of Dallas, Thomas Hibbs, is none other than Jerry Seinfeld. Or so he writes in his book that honestly I have not yet read a single word of. Shows About Nothing. Shows About Nothing. It is my pleasure to have on the program today Thomas Hibbs. Thomas, welcome to the Enter the Basement podcast.
Glad to be with you.
Now, as I just said, I don't have your book. I haven't read it. I don't have a copy, and in all likelihood, I will never read your book. To be honest, I don't even know much about you at all, and it's fine because our audience will get everything that they really need from you from this interview. Now, you borrowed your title, Shows About Nothing, from the oft-quoted description of Seinfeld. So, is Seinfeld then a nihilist sitcom?
Yes, I think so. The humor often hinged upon the sort of pointlessness of the lives of these characters, the way in which they saw no ultimate purpose to their lives, no way in which relationships, for example, especially marriage, could ever be possible for these characters because they had no larger vision of themselves apart from momentary preferences.
So Putty wears a man fur?
He was strutting around the coffee shop like Stein Erikson.
And of course you find fur morally reprehensible.
Anti-fur. Who has the energy anymore?
If there is a best way of life in a nihilistic world, Jerry seems to have it, because Jerry seems able to live with few exceptions in a very detached way, so that he never invests anything emotionally in any other person, and of course, his sense of humor, which is a kind of detached irony that mocks even the deepest sorts of human longing for love. I mean, there were shows where they made fun of Schindler's List, made fun of AIDS walks, abortion, euthanasia. All the hot topic debates in our society are satirized on that show in a way that enables Jerry to remain detached and sort of free from any connection to anyone. And I think in a world where there is no purpose or meaning, Jerry's way of going through life represents wisdom, if there is such a thing in that context. But, Mr. Hibbs, the characters in Seinfeld often get their comeuppance through fate, yes, coincidences, and doesn't that suggest that there's a divine plan at work in the cosmos? You know, if there is a divine plan in Seinfeld, it's a very dark one. When Jerry and George are about to have their pilot accepted at one point for a series called Jerry, based on their nothing lives, George is worried the whole show about a discoloration on his lip. And he says to his therapist,
"What if the pilot gets picked up and it becomes a series?"
To which the therapist responds, saying,
That'd be wonderful. George will be rich and successful.
Yeah.
But then George answers back,
Yeah, it's exactly what I'm worried about. God would never let me be successful. He'll kill me first. He'll never let me be happy.
So the therapist then asks George,
I thought you didn't believe in God.
and George says,
I do for the bad things.
say the episode where Kramer decides to go on an AIDS walk, for example.
But you have to wear an AIDS ribbon.
I have to?
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't want to.
Doing good, and yet he's beaten by the AIDS walkers because he fails to wear the AIDS ribbon.
Look at you. I told you. Up all night playing poker. Come on.
Hey, where's your AIDS ribbon?
So that in his world, it doesn't seem to matter whether you do good or whether you do bad. In the end, your desires are always frustrated. So it seems to me that it might be justice in the sense that not even the bad get away with anything, but the good is never rewarded on the show either. So tell me this, what has to be present or missing from a show then in order for it to be nihilist? Well, I think for it to be fully nihilist in the way I'm suggesting that Seinfeld is, even the quest for happiness, justice, truth, beauty, friendship, love, all those great ideals inspiring the American regime from way back when, all of those things are mocked and seen as pointless. So what, in your view, then, is the ultimate impact of nihilism? Well, I don't know about you, but I have just one thing on my mind right now, and that's having...
Yeah, Seinfeld still does old stuff.
I went and saw him at the Palladium about a year or two ago, and it was one of the worst shows I've ever seen. Like, I had like a splitting headache, and I was like furious.
Really? What was bad about it?
It was aggressively corny and just...
Aggressively corny is a funny phrase.
Yeah. Thank you for coming to the show. I know, we're like, should we go to the show?
Do you know what this is all about? Do you know why we're here? To be out.
Oh, should we go? Or should we go to the show? Should we get...
This is out. And out is one of the single most enjoyable experiences of life.
Do we Uber? How do we get to the show? Do we really want to go?
People, you know how people talk about we should go out? This is what they're talking about.
And I'm like, I can't believe he's doing this right now.
We're gonna dress you up in a mess! You're funny. So are you.
But people were eating it up. Like, everyone around me was going nuts and loving it. But it was just like old man corny.
Old man corny!
Because you see...
The people who have a problem with that, they don't understand what getting high is. Like, they think you're gonna be like to your kid, like, who are you? What do you think? What's the worst thing that can happen if I'm a little high around my kid? They're gonna get extra hugs, and daddy's gonna be paranoid about objects. Oh, look out. Don't go there. That's it. Plus, I have cool conversations. I have a 6-year-old daughter, man. There's not a lot a 48-year-old man and a 6-year-old girl have in common, other than the fact she's my daughter. And so our conversations are normally pretty boring. But when I'm high, I'm like, you call that thing your baby, your doll, you call it your baby, but you know it's not a baby, right? Yeah, I know it's not a baby. Do you call it a baby because you're the youngest and you like having someone who is responsible for you? Maybe. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Give me a hug. I love you. DMT.
Oh, smoke it.
DMT. Dimethyltryptamine is DMT. The DMT is...
Other crazy visuals where she started talking about like the purpose of life, and I saw and then time just stops and it's like glitching, like fucking glitching. So I'm seeing all the stars just like move, and I think I'm stuck in a glitch in time, except with these girls or whatever. So I call my mom and I was like, is time stopped? Is the internet broken? At this point in my life, I told my mom whenever I was doing drugs. So if anything happened, my mom knew what was going on. So luckily I already warned her that I was doing drugs. So when I called her, she just like helped soothe me a minute. And then I like focused my attention back at because she is the one who's like lost her shit going on about the purpose of life. And I was like, I know the purpose of life. The purpose of life is love. It was like something like melted off of her and like helped revive her out of whatever chaos she was in. She slowly calms down. The purpose of life is love. The purpose of life is love. The purpose of life is... When I took 3 tabs of double dipped acid. Now I'm awake. And one of the girls, her name was...
You like jazz?
...is like losing her... She started to like lose it. purpose of life is love.